It's always a good day when the green screen appears. All right. First thing we're going to do is take out some note-taking materials. If you don't have them, go ahead and grab them at this time, physical or virtual, whichever one works best for you. And then now we are going, let me make sure this is happening. One moment. Okay, there we go. I see me now. 3 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale on your own. 3 deep cleansing breaths. Let the amygdala know that we are getting ready to get this brain party started. Inhale and exhale. Good morning. I am Dr. Donna Louise Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. Today's topic is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, number 15, in chronological order, finish what you start. But before we get started, I want to know a simple question. Did you hydrate, did you hydrate your brain this morning? Have you hydrated your brain this morning? And I think what I'm going to do is say note-taking materials and a bottle of water so that you can hydrate your brain. What I also noticed yesterday, because I had so much information to combine, I had to have my tablet, my phone, and I was going back and forth, that I literally got dehydrated putting all that brain information together. I was like, man, I am just so dehydrated. And I'm like, you just use a massive amount of your brain to get this information and take this very complicated process. It was 11 different hemispheres that we had to cover yesterday. And so I found myself being extremely thirsty, and I could draw it right back to how much brain energy I had exerted. Cognitive overload is what I was experiencing. So did you hydrate your brain? Did you hydrate your brain? And if not, go gather a bottle of water as we go through this so you can hydrate while we get some information. Okay, so how did we get here? We got here through neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. That's the neurons firing off at each other, creating synaptic connections that will create neural pathways. You combine that with the 74 principles of real leadership and the theory of personal accountability, and you get neuromobility. That's the brain's ability to wire itself to use the 74 principles of real leadership to create unlimited neural pathways so that you can have your best day in and day out. And this magic happens daily in the working memory, which is located in the executive function of the brain, located in the frontal lobe, located in the prefrontal cortex. And there are 3 parts to the executive function. You have working memory, cognitive flexibility, and inhibition control. Your working memory is being used anywhere from dozens, if not hundreds of times a day. Good morning, Regina. And it's happening all day, every day. All day, every day. That's why it's important, especially if you are over the age of 35, to continue to add to your working memory, because now you are fighting against Father Time, which is deteriorating your working memory. Do not wait till you are sitting in the senior living facilities to decide that you want to start doing Sudoku at 65. It's not too late, but you have had 30 years worth of deterioration. So you want to start working on your working memory as soon as possible. Okay? All right. So again, as I mentioned today, we are talking about number 15, principle of real leadership. Finish what you start. And what I decided yesterday is that I'm also going to start looking at the hemispheric connections to these regions, to the principles of real leadership, so you can totally, fully, completely understand if it's the left side, if it's the right side, or if it's the shared sides of the hemispheres and the regions, so that you just have more tools. So if you think about it, when you buy one of those nice little toolkits, it has an electric screwdriver in it, and it might have a measuring tape and some other things in it, a couple screwdrivers and all of that. We are building your shed, your workout shed for your not your workout shed, but your workstation for your brain. So this goes from this nice little toolkit to this big, whole, huge, think of your garage tool shed that you have all these tools and resources that you can just grab as you need them. So here we are. What regions and what hemisphere of the brain are used to finish what you start? Now, the reason why finish what you start is one of the 74 principles of real leadership is because people don't finish what they start. They have all this great energy, dopamine boost, and everything to start something, and then shit hits the fan and they don't finish it. They get tired, they lose interest. Longevity, it's like the amygdala's like, oh, it's taking too long. I want some immediate gratification. Why is this taking so long? I'm coming up on my 12th year of understanding human beings and what it takes to make them the best. Now, if I didn't have a Dr. Down the Real Leader brain, I would have stopped a long time ago. So you have to finish what you start. So be honest right now. Do you have any unfinished projects sitting somewhere looking at you or hidden so you can't see them anymore? Do you have any unfinished projects at all? Just be honest. Say yes or no. Because if you start it, you got to finish it. That's why Nola didn't go to college, because she knows if she had went to college, she was going to have to finish college. And every activity as a child that she had, if she did not want to participate long after she started that first year or that first season, she didn't have to. But you finish what you start. Unfinished projects are no bueno. So, do you have any unfinished projects? Yes or no? And hopefully the chat is now working, because yes or no. And don't say, I'm a work in progress, Dr. Donna. I am just working on myself. No, I'm talking about you said you was going to crochet your grandbaby a doggone Afghan, and now they're in college, and you got one granny square. That's what I'm talking about. Do you have any unfinished projects? All right, so what regions of the brain and what hemispheres of the brain are you using to finish what you start? So finish what you start is a cognitive behavioral skill rooted in brain regions that control planning. And this is the good thing. So motivation, I was replacing it with empowerment, but it hit me today is discipline, because I have videos that say people are, oh my God, I need to be motivated. No, you need to be disciplined. And so it's apropos, in order for you to finish what you start, it's going to take discipline. So the brain regions are focused on the ones that control planning, discipline, focus, perseverance, and task completion. So here are 6 brain regions used to finish what you start. Number 1 is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and that is responsible for planning, decision making, sustained attention, and task execution. Number 2 is the anterior cingulate cortex, and it is for error detection, emotional regulation, and staying focused despite obstacles. So that's 3 principles of real leadership. So 3 principles of real leadership are stay focused, remove obstacles, and eliminate distractions. So part of the reason why you can't finish what you start is because you're not focused, you're not eliminating distractions, and you're not removing obstacles. I find it interesting that when people decide to do something, for some reason, they believe that obstacles shouldn't come in their way. They believe that there is this straight line from I'm going to start this and I'm going to finish this, and nothing should happen to me while I'm on this pathway, this journey to accomplish my goal. And that's just unrealistic, because a lot of people play video games right now. And when you start a game, there are things that you need to gather along the way in order for you to get to the next level, get to the next level, and get to the next level. So why wouldn't that take place in your life when you start a project? You are going to need those skill sets, problem solving skills, planning, execution, understanding what works, what doesn't work. So when you decide to start something, just accept the fact that you might fail at it, and there are going to be obstacles in your way in order for you to get to the other side. That's the reason why people who start college don't finish college. That's the reason why people who start running marathons sometimes don't finish the marathons, because it's only the strong that survive. It's the only people who are disciplined and focused enough to get across the finish line. Those are the people who finish what they start. And you need the ACC in order to do that. That emotional regulation, when the amygdala, the left amygdala is saying, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And the right amygdala, as soon as it finds an obstacle, is ready to fight somebody. So no, you have to strengthen those, and we're going to get to how you can strengthen those with some activities. Number 3 is the basal ganglia, and it is initiating and maintaining your goal-directed actions through habit formation. That means that you have to do it every day. In order for you to maintain and sustain any habit, It has to take place with frequency. And the more you do it on a daily basis, the more it becomes a habit. And then it becomes part of just your working memory. And you just do it without even thinking about it, good or bad habits. Number 4 is the orbital frontal cortex. It's referred to as the OFC. It's evaluating outcomes, impulse control, and sticking to long-term rewards. And so if anyone going to college, you are going to have to take a lot of classes to get that undergraduate degree. In fact, it is the most amount of credits that you will ever take in order to get that degree. The doctorate is the next one, and then the master's degree is the shortest amount of time that you will be in school. So if you go to law school, you go to medical school, it's more credits than just if you get a master's degree. So it's these long-term rewards that you have to focus on. Delayed gratification. Number 5 is the hippocampus. And so the hippocampus is memory consolidation and recalling why you started the task. As we know, I have mentioned several times, don't do anything without a strategy and don't do anything without a why. When I chartered the club Lunchtime Talkers at the Urban Chamber here, everybody had to fill out a why card. What is your educational goal and why are you doing this? Because if you don't have a why and you can't remember your why, that's another reason why you're not going to finish what you started. My why is that I want to plant trees for which shade I will never sit. I'm tired of being on the receiving end of a bunch of unaccountable adults and all their unaccountable antics because they don't know how to wire their brain to be personally accountable and to be their best. So instead of sitting around being self-righteous in my comfort cocoon talking shit about everybody, I am actually action oriented. So I'm actually doing something about this global academic to quote Floyd Mayweather. You might want to tell some of my lives. Anyway, to get rid of this global pandemic and epidemic that we have, which is 6.8 billion adults being unaccountable every hour of the hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days, and 366 on leap year. That's just all this unaccountability. And then number 6 is the amygdala. And you want to regulate the amygdala. We talk about emotional regulations and the connections of the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. And if you allow the amygdala to run your life, you're going to run your life into the ground. That's just reality. The amygdala is almond shaped. It is teeny, tiny, teeny, tiny. And 3 days ago, I gave you the weight of it. It is, just think of an almond and put this almond next to your head. Can y'all see that? Okay. So think the brain is 3 pounds. And the amygdala is it's grams. It's not even ounces. And it's centimeters big. So if you let this little bitty thing, this little bitty ingrown toenail run your life, that's why you're making dumbass plans. And that's why you can't finish what you start. Okay. So the hemispheres that are involved. So let me go back to the 6 brain regions again. You have the, dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the basal ganglia, the orbital frontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the amygdala. And let me just, instead of doing that, I forgot I could just do this. So if you look up top, you can see, those are the areas that are involved. So it is the top graphic. Okay, I'm back. I'm back again. And so these are the hemispheres that are involved. And I will have a hemisphere graphic at the end. So the hemispheres was 2. So what part is primary and what part is supportive? So in the left hemisphere, that's the primary focus of finishing what you start. And it's for local sequencing, language, and internal dialogue. I need to finish this is an example of an internal dialogue. Analytical processing, and it often dominates structured task execution, especially for goal setting and monitoring your progress. So when you start to finish what you start, the left hemisphere is the one that's running the show. Now, here come the backup singer, and that's the right hemisphere. So the right hemisphere is playing a supportive role. And so the purpose of the right hemisphere for this particular real leader pathway that you are creating, finish what you start, is big picture thinking. And so I am saying 6.8 billion adults need to learn how to hold themselves personally accountable. Good morning, Lola. And that number doesn't seem big to me because my Jiffy page has 17.5 billion views. So I have something that's almost triple the amount of people, the adult population in the world. So I'm like, yeah, I already did something that has billions of it. So this is 1/3 of that. So that's my right brain saying finish what you start, my right hemisphere. Now, it's also responsible for sustaining discipline through emotional and visual imagery. Okay, so the discipline. So I have my whiteboard that says study the brain, master the brain, teach others to do the same. I'm looking at it right now. So I just referred to that. My desk is L-shaped. Every time I go this way, I see it, and it's in different colors. Because remember, the right brain is responsible for visual colors and pictures and imagery. So I made it colorful so that it will pop and make me go, okay, these are three things, the three objectives that I have on a daily basis. And then the final thing is that it has creative problem solving when obstacles arise. And so the problem solving, if you just stay in the left hemisphere, it's not sexy. Dopamine is not gonna be like, ooh, let's solve this boring ass problem over here. No, but when you get creative problem solving, then now you've enacted the right hemisphere. It's like, hey, you got my attention. What do you want me to do? And so now that creativity comes. And so I have on my brain is 95% song lyrics and there are graphics and I'm animated and I'm doing all these creative things for this very, very left brain, boring ass, watching paint dry subject. You put those two together, the bilateralness of it all, and now you're interested, you can see it, you can hear it, you can process it, and most importantly, you can go off and use what I'm actually saying in your day-to-day life. So both hemispheres work together, but finishing what you start leans more heavily on the left hemisphere and the executive functions for structured follow through. So while they both work together, the primary hemisphere for finishing what you start is your left brain. So that's going to be your planning, your logic, your reasoning, your detail orientedness, your analytics, all of that, because you have to start with a strategy and then execute that strategy. If things go left, you got to go and make it go right, look at the strategy, assess the strategy, and keep moving forward. Okay, so a summary of the brain and hemisphere activation. So the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is left dominant, and that is focused on the planning and the follow through. The ACC is both hemispheres, and so it's monitoring your progress and it's overcoming those distractions. Okay, it's overcoming distractions. Number 3, the basal ganglia. Again, that's both hemispheres. I apologize. Somebody sent me a message talking about I followed them. Bullshit. All right, no, that's bullshit. I don't fucking follow nobody. Basal ganglia is both the hemispheres. Sustained effort and forming productive habits. So that's where the discipline is going to come to keep you giving that sustained effort and giving you productive habits as you go to finish what you start. Number 6 is the OFC, and it's left dominant, and it's impulsive control, and it's evaluating your next step. So instead of giving up or doing something that's you're going to regret, it's like, no, I'm just quit, forget it. And one thing Master P said is never make a decision when you're desperate. So if you're starting a business and now you need funding and you know somebody who has some money, but y'all don't really get along and you go and ask them for some money, don't do that. Okay, I've had too many stories where people went public or about to go public or were about to take on investors and it all went left. Cliff Bars and Michael Dell Computer Company are two organizations that come to mind. So big shit, not like, yeah, I asked my family members for $2,000. No, this was millions and millions of dollars and at one point billions of dollars for Michael Dell on the line. And so that impulse control, it took him from February of 2014 till October to gather enough money and everything to stop that hostile takeover from Carl Icahn. And now Michael Dell is worth more, a lot more than Carl Icahn. And that's why you have Dell computers and gaming systems and all of that. So if you just wait, you're going to get a better idea. And Cliff Bars is the other one. They were going to go public and then he didn't want to. So he had to raise enough money to buy out his partner who wanted to go public. And Cliff Bar, to my knowledge, is still a private company. Okay, hippocampus is both hemispheres as well. So remembering discipline and your purpose. So your hippocampus is going to remind you of your why. It's going to keep you disciplined and focused on the main thing being the main thing. And then number 6 is the amygdala regulation. If you don't take anything else away from today's life, you have to have emotional regulation or you're going to run your life into the ground. The amygdala gives alerts to the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex then determines if those alerts are actually factually based or not. And so the amygdala regulation is in both hemispheres as well, because we know from 3 days ago what the left and right amygdala's functions are. And so it's managing your emotional obstacles, And there are a lot of emotional obstacles because there are 6.8 billion unaccountable adults being led by their amygdala. So you could be minding your own business, and then here comes some family member calling you with an emotional obstacle. You could be at work. You could be going on a friend's trip. And here comes some emotional obstacle. And what happens with people who don't have amygdala regulations is you feel all their feelings while they're feeling them too. And that's crazy, right? Let's look at it this way. Imagine if somebody was hungry and you just ate, and they keep talking about how hungry they are. You don't feel their hunger because hunger is a feeling as well, right? So you don't feel their hunger, and so you're not like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry too. Who? And you just finished eating. So that's how you know you're not supposed to be feeling other people's feelings. Now you can have empathy for someone who's hungry. You can say, hey, I got some leftovers. Come on over here. Let me give you the rest of the sandwich, or here's some spaghetti or something. And so you can actually have empathy, but what unaccountable people have caused you to do is be engaged in some shit show palooza that they caused. They caused it, they solved it. That's how that works. But you got to feel all of their emotional deregulation. And now it is not, they want everybody to come on in and let's have this pity party together, eat this chaos casserole. Absolutely not. Those are your feelings. Now, if you want to, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? And what I'm getting ready to do about it? I'm here for it. But if not, kick rocks, because you are responsible for regulating your own damn emotions. And I'm not coming to those parties. Okay, so that's the summary for that. What questions do you have about the 6 brain regions and the hemispheres involved, and the summary of the hemisphere involvement in the regions for Finish What You Start? If it's clear, let me know, and I will keep moving forward. We used to say this in the Army: drink water. And you go, drink water. Is it clear? There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. So next we have the 6 brain-based activities grounded in neuroscience to strengthen your ability to finish what you start. To finish what you start. All right. Number 1 is the prefrontal cortex strengthening. And this is planning and following through. Planning and following through. So you have daily micro planning that you can participate in. So you spend 5 minutes each morning outlining 1 to 3 specific tasks to finish. So every morning when you wake up, you do your breathing, you do your working memory dump and all of that. You say, here are the 1 to 3 things that I'm going to finish. And you need one thing at a minimum that you're going to be working on to finish. And what this does is this activates the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex for goal-oriented directed behavior. And when you set your intentions, and anybody who's practiced yoga know every time you go to a yoga session, the instructors tells you to set the intentions for your practice. And I'm saying set the intention for your day. Life on the mat is life off the mat. So if you don't have an intention for your day could go definitely left. And if your day goes left after your intention, you can say, oh, this was a character building day. And when you sit down to evaluate your day before you go to sleep, you can say, here's what I planned. Here's what took place. What lessons can I learn from that situation? And then the second portion of this is time chunking working sessions. And we know that that's the Pomodoro technique, where you work anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes, and then you take a 5 to 10 minute break. You work for 10 to 25 minutes, and then you take a break. Now, for people who believe, oh, I should just work for 8 hours and 5 hours and 10 hours, neurologically, that's not good for your brain. The book Brain Rules talks about that. The brain learns better in 20 to 30 minute increments, and take a break. If you try to make the brain work for 3, 4, or 5 hours, you are going to overtask your working memory, and you're going to experience cognitive overload. So 20 to 30 minutes, take a break. 20 to 30 minutes, take a break. And what you'll find is that what you're doing will be strengthened, and what you're learning will be reinforced in that capacity. And then this builds mental stamina and strengthens sustained attention circuits. So trying to force somebody to focus for hours and hours and hours, unless you're in the military, you need to do it because you're a sniper trainer or something like that. But most people ain't doing that shit. So let's face it, your stuff you're doing, you're not a neuroscientist. You're not about to be operating on the brain, neurosurgeon. You're not about to be operating on the brain. So you could do something, focus on it, come back and go do something else, take a break and come back. And it's going to sustain what you're doing. Now, can you do something long term? Yes. I have Nola and I've been at appointments working 13 hours straight other than peeing, no food, no nothing to get it done. Absolutely don't recommend that because you have to do those things every now and then. But overall, you can do the Pomodoro techniques, and that will strengthen your ability to focus to continue to finish the task. And there is no such thing as multitasking. You're just task jumping, and research has shown that it takes you longer to task jump than if you start a task, finish a task, start a task, finish a task, start a task, finish a task. Number 2 is the ACC activation. And so you're overcoming distractions. So when you are using the principle of real leadership, eliminate distractions, you are using the anterior cingulate cortex. And so what you have to do is practice distraction training. And so initially practicing noticing distractions and redirecting your focus. So for example, if you're reading and your mind wanders, say, oh my goodness, I am daydreaming. Let me get back to my reading. And then go right back to what you're doing. So you won't be like, you freaking idiot. You can't focus for 3 doggone minutes. You got the attention of a fruit net, right? The attention span of a fruit net. You don't want to do that. And when you just kindly say, oh, okay, I lost my footing on my page. Where was I at? Sometimes, and I found myself doing that yesterday, reading, because now that I'm perimenopausal, any sounds outside my window will distract me because it sounds like somebody's yelling through a microphone at a concert. And so I'm focused on not going outside and laying hands on sick with the fivefold ministry, so that I have to say, okay, where were you at? Top of the page, go back down. And what it does is it strengthens cognitive control pathways in the ACC. Number 3 is the basal ganglia support. And so you're building finishing habits. Yes, finishing what you start has to be a habit. It's not something that you could do and stop and do and stop. You know, I had a goal 5 years ago, so I'm going to go ahead and be able to. No, you're not. Okay, you need daily habits of finishing small tasks so that you can finish bigger things in your life. So being tasked with a specific cue. So here's how this process works to start to build that habit foundation. So let's say you're getting ready to read. So how you start the task is you take in a deep breath, and then you stretch, and then you finish reading. And when you finish reading, you end with a small break. So now what's happening is you go, oh, let me get ready to read. I read, and then you end with a break. And sometimes you can give yourself a small treat. Hey, look at me. I read 5 pages. I read 15 pages. So now the natural dopamine is going to show up and say, hey, good job. All right, let's do that again. And now in the basal, so it builds the task completion circuits in the basal ganglia through repetition. So now it knows, okay, when I stretch, I'm getting ready to do something. I'm going to do this thing. And then when I breathe and stretch, and then when I finish, I give myself a hand clap of praise. Now it can be bigger and bigger and bigger. And now that habit formation pathway is there for you. And so micro habits for progress. So when you want to, you got to break larger tasks into smaller finishable units to generate dopamine reinforcement. So again, if you have to read a 300-page book, do not try to read that 300-page book in one day, especially if you haven't read a book in years. So you're going to break it down. And what I recommend, finish a book in a week, is take the page count, divide it by the number 7, and then read that amount of pages in a day. Break it up. You can read half the pages in the morning, half the pages in the evening. And now you are getting a daily dopamine boost. You can have a conversation with somebody. You can write about what you read. You can talk to yourself about what you learned and what you read. Okay, next is the orbitofrontal cortex, and this is for impulse control and reward evaluation. And so this is visualized long-term rewards. And I say this story quite often, that when I was in college and I didn't have a lot of clothes or anything else, my hair's falling out and all of that, I used to just tell people my money is tied up in investments. Money is tied up in investments, and one day I'm going to be sitting somewhere, people are going to be calling me Lieutenant Thomas, and this is going to be a better situation. So daily visualization of the benefits of finishing projects reduces stress and it gives you achievement. So you're calming the amygdala down. Remember, the prefrontal cortex has to regulate the amygdala and say, it's okay, I understand you got an F on that test, but that's okay because you're just going to study. And by midterms, you're going to be able to make this grade up. And it trains the OFC to favor delayed gratification over impulsive task switching. Okay, so when I was working with my sister, because she had never, the only thing she ever finished was high school associates and a bachelor's degree, never had a job. She is 55 and she has never had a job consistently for a year. Even when we were working together, she'd have to go take these trips for 6 weeks and come back. So she's never done that. So for her, it was taking too long. But for somebody who had went to school for 23 years, I was like, this is nothing. So what happens is when you can visualize it, it helps you to stretch out your ability to finish what you start, and you don't stop and do something else. You don't stop and do something else. Today is my day 610 of going live. And when I first started on lives back in November 2023, format is totally different. And now I'm here today and I have my answer as to why adults can't hold themselves personally accountable. And so it is that delayed gratification of finishing what you start and celebrating these micro wins. Now, number 5 is hippocampus engagement. And so this is for purpose and memory recall. So that why and being able to recall that why. So you want to anchor to your why. And back in the day when I was a Mary Kay consultant, I used to have my affirmations and everything on my mirrors in my bathrooms and carry one in my purse just to remind me of why I was doing it. So you want to keep written reminders of why the task matters visible in your workspace. So why is this important? So that you can look at it so that when an obstacle shows up, you don't quit. And this strengthens your discipline by connecting to memory circuits. And so what happens is I am doing this for this reason, and this reason is now connected to my memory circuit. Obstacle shows up and it says, remember, there are 6.8 billion unaccountable adults in the world. That's why you're doing this. So go ahead. You might have failed this neuroscience test twice, but you get to take it again and you're going to get a better grade. Okay, a better score. And then number 6 is amygdala regulation. So it's emotion management and it's stress reduction techniques. So what you're going to do is daily breathing. That's why we start the lives with daily breathing, and we are thinking of mindfulness. And as I've mentioned, download a mindfulness app, download a meditation app, go on YouTube, TikTok, wherever you need to go to make sure that you are not being overwhelmed. So if you find yourself, oh, this is too much, go ahead and do deep breathing and then focus on completing that task. So between the Pomodoro techniques and the breathing and breaking the task down, you will be able to build those circuits to be able to stay focused for the micro task to finish the larger goal. And this keeps the amygdala regulated, promoting persistence under pressure. Okay, so again, in summary, the 6 brain activities, or the 6 brain activities based in neuroscience are: you're going to strengthen the prefrontal cortex, you're going to activate the ACC by overcoming distractions. Number 3, it's the basal ganglia support. Number 4 is the orbital frontal cortex for impulse control and reward evaluation. Number 5 is the hippocampus engagement, so for purpose and memory recall. And number 6 is amygdala regulation, and so you want to do emotional management. All right, so now I'm going to switch my graphic. And I'm going to switch me. And so these are the brain-based activities to strengthen, finish what you start. Okay, so if you want to take a screenshot of that, you can. All right, I'm gonna come back and go back to my original. Did it switch it? Okay, y'all can see my bed there briefly. I wonder why it wouldn't let me switch it back. There we go. All right, so now we're back. So now we have the 6 brain benefits of finishing what you start. And so number 1 is it strengthens your executive, grounded in neuroscience. Yes, I'm back. Stay. Yes. It strengthens the executive function. So it improves planning, focus, decision making, and follow through. And these are the benefits for the brain to finish what you start. It strengthens the executive function. It improves planning, focus, decision making, and follow through. It also activates the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, enhancing your brain's ability to manage complex tasks. Part of the reason why we are experiencing such unaccountability in the global adult population is because their working memories have atrophied and they do not possess the ability to handle complex tasks. So we had an appointment yesterday with a music enthusiast of the K-pop genre and for female artists. And so she was educating us on a lot of things. And so we were watching their videos and their craftsmanship. And I said, wow, this reminds me of the Motown days because I'm from Detroit. And she said, exactly. So there's a group, I forgot the name of it. I want to say UKGK or something, but they actually work together. No, it's the K-pop group. And then there's a different group. And so they actually were working for 5 years before they came out. And Candy from Escape once said, there is no more artist development. You got to already know how to do it or that's it. And so if you look at concerts today versus concerts 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, there was a lot more showmanship and craftsmanship, a lot less auto-tune and all of these things. And so the skill set is not there. And so we even had a client who says touring is down and everything else because the music industry is not profitable anymore. And so artists have to fund their own tours and everything else. It's part of the reason why I look like shit. But anyway, the point is that they have atrophied working memories, and so they can't solve complex problems, which is causing hijacked amygdalitis. And now they're really concerned. And now it's like, oh my goodness, I got to sell records and streaming and all these other things. And now that's why music industry is terrible right now. Movies are all right, because those industries did not have the forward thinking to say, okay, where are we going to be 5 years from now? Where are we going to be 10 years from now? And so they're rinsing and repeating. That's why you have all these remakes of television shows and movies and music and sampling and everything else, because that whole industry doesn't have the ability to solve complex problems. That's why the only artists on tour are the artists that were developed. Right. So right now, I mean, you got everybody from the 90s. If you were in a coma and woke up, you think it was 1993 for the amount of people who are on tour right now. So these auto-tune people and no dancemen, no showmanship, nothing, just influencers that became artists and actors and actresses is not working. And so the whole industry needs a regroup and needs to be, definitely the complex problem needs to be solved. And so those people in those industries need to understand how to use their brains so that they can solve these problems, so that they can continue in these industries and make these industries better. But that's what's taking place. So when you finish what you start, you actually have a better ability in your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex to manage these complex tasks. Number 2 is to boost the neural efficiency. And we always like anything that's going to boost our neural efficiency. So what it does is it creates stronger, more efficient connections between the prefrontal cortex, the basal ganglia, and the ACC. So that means that your ability to remove the obstacles from the ACC, the ability for the basal ganglia to perform those habits, and then the ability from the prefrontal cortex to execute everything. When you put those together, it makes future task initiation and completion easier. So they combine together, they do the work, and then as a result, you are able to do what it is that you need to do on a daily basis. And now every time you have a new task, you can get that task completed again and again and again. And now you're at these higher level tasks. If I did not finish what I start way back in elementary school, there is no me on this path for brain development. Okay, number 3, it increases dopamine and discipline. So it's going to increase your dopamine and your discipline. Completing tasks triggers dopamine release. So every time you complete a task, you've got this nice nice natural dopamine boost that occurs. So that's why even if it's something simple, doing your Pomodoro techniques, you're going to get this release of dopamine and another release of dopamine and another release of dopamine. So it's going to work. The next one is it reinforces the brain's reward circuitry, making follow through more satisfying over time. So that neural pathway is going to get created, and every time you do a task and you finish it, more and more dopamine is going to go to you finishing tasks, and you're going to get rewarded, and you're going to like that. So you're going to keep finishing those tasks. Number 4 is it reduces cognitive load and stress. Reduces cognitive load and stress. So what's going to happen is you're going to be open to unfinished tasks by occupying the mental bandwidth of the, and here's this thing. I looked this word up and 4 different people pronounced it 4 different ways. So I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm going to go with the one I believe it is, but I'm like, this ain't ever happened. It's usually 2 different ways, but it was interesting. And so what it is this is the Zeigarnik effect. Zeigarnik effect. So it's Zeigarnic, and it's a woman, and that's her last name. So it's the Zeigarnik effect. And what happens is it's a psychological phenomenon where people tend to remember interrupted or incomplete tasks better than their completed task. And it means that the unfinished task can be more readily recalled, and then they're going to nag at you while the completed tasks that you've completed tend to fade from your memory. So it's going to reduce this. So what happens is by increasing your dopamine and discipline to keep getting it done, you're going to reduce your Zeigarnik effect. And that means that the 2 things that you didn't do are not going to be at top of mind, because you're going to be saying, man, I finished 15 things. I finished 15 things. Why are you worried about that when I finished 15 things? So it reduces it, and it gets to the point where it's load stress management. So it's not there. The amygdala isn't sending, oh my God, we got to worry. We didn't finish. And then you get to finish the task. Okay. So that's done. All right. Number 5 is it improves emotional regulation. And we want that. We want our emotions to be in control with us. So it improves emotional regulation. Completing a task builds confidence and reduces overwhelmment. And it regulates the amygdala, limiting fear-based procrastination. And so I have a Dr. Donna quote that says, procrastination is just fear with a bow. That's all it is. So if you find yourself procrastinating, you got to ask yourself, sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but if it's a new task that's going to stretch you, it literally is because you are afraid of something. And so you have to assess, what am I afraid of? Because I need to be able to do this thing in order to get to my goal. So what happens is when you keep doing small tasks over and over and over again, you get to build up, you have that confidence, so you're not overwhelmed. And so when this new neuroscience class shows up and you got to go like, oh my God, and you fail a couple tests, it's okay. Because I remind myself, dude, you Dr. Donna, the fuck is you? This a test. You had to complete your dissertation. Your dissertation got denied and you're still Dr. Donna. Okay? You failed the GRE 3 times. This ain't nothing. Small things for a giant. You can get this done. And then number 6 is it enhances your habit formation. Again, basal ganglia is going to create a good habit or a bad habit. It's your responsibility to create those micro habits so that you can finish those small tasks so it can be finished at a bigger level. So the basal ganglia strengthens productive routines. So if you keep being productive, if you keep doing that Pomodoro exercises, you're going to strengthen that. And then its repeated completion builds automaticity for future tasks. So it becomes automatic. It's on autopilot. You just do it. I got a task to do. I'm going to finish it. I got a job to do. I'm going to finish it. I got a project I started. I'm going to finish it. And now it's going to happen. So again, these 6 benefits are: it strengthens your executive function. It boosts your neural efficiency. It increases your dopamine and discipline. It reduces cognitive load and stress. It improves emotional regulation. And it enhances habit formation. Okay, so I got one more drawing graphic to do. All right. Done. Okay, and so these are the hemispheric benefits to finish what you start in the left side and then the right side. And so as you can see, it strengthens logical sequencing and structured action plans. It enhances big picture thinking and visualization of tasks on the right side. On the left side, it improves your language-based self-talk. I can finish this. And then on the right side, it supports your, because my stuff is in the way. It supports emotional and creative solutions to obstacles. And then it boosts task analysis, planning, and performance monitoring on the left side. And then on the right side, it fosters holistic thinking and connections for long-term visions. And then two that are not on there but are in my notes are, it develops detail-oriented execution of step-by-step tasks, and then it supports visual imagery and discipline through anticipated success. So, and then finally, it strengthens the executive functions by planning, focusing, and decision-making. It boosts neural efficiency. It increases dopamine, and they say motivation, but I'm saying discipline. It reduces cognitive load and stress, and it improves emotional regulation. All right, let's go back to me. Here I am. And so in summary, here are the neuroscience benefits. It strengthens your brain circuitry for focusing and planning and perseverance. It enhances the dopamine and the discipline for your reward process. It balances the left hemisphere's logic and structure with the right hemispheric emotional and creative support, so they work together. And then it builds mental resilience habits, strength, and emotional regulation for future success. So what questions do you have, if any, regarding any of the information that I have covered today? And so the main thing is the main thing. Finish what you start. If you are not going to finish it, don't start it. Ask yourself for your next project, task, whatever it is. Ask yourself, am I going to finish this or am I going to quit? And quitting, failure is not an option, and quitters never win are 2 of the 74 principles of real leadership as well. So ask yourself that question. Am I actually going to finish this? Am I going to be committed to this no matter what happens? Come hell or high water, am I 10 toes down on this thing? And if you are not, don't start it. And I don't care how much money is involved. I don't care how many people are involved. I don't care how much people say you're going to be able to get this done. This is amazing. This is awesome. This is fantastic. None of that shit matters, okay? If you are not going to finish it, do not start it. So if the information is clear, go ahead and type clear, and we can go ahead and do our cognitive fitness, answer our 2 questions, and go ahead and get out of here today. Clear. Okay. So the cognitive fitness for today is, we have without looking it up, and we have another PEMDAS exercise. So the first one is without looking it up. Good morning, Lady J, Mr. Hook. Good morning. So here we go. I'm going to give you the word, and then I'm going to give you 2 words, and you're going to select what you think the word means. So I'll say the word twice, and then I will say the options twice, and then you will type in which option you believe is the meaning of the word. So without looking it up, hegemony, 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 and I will even type it in. Do not look it up. Hegemony, hegemony, hegemony. And does it mean supremacy or subordination? Supremacy or subordination? Supremacy or subordination? Hegemony. Nolan and Kevin says subordination. Hegemony. Any other takers? The rest of the people like, oh shit, it's a test. We thought we was just looking and listening. You looking, listening, and learning over here. It's 3 L's. But I don't know. Yes, I was going to fix the subordination. Okay, great. So the three amigos, yes. So it actually is supremacy. It is supremacy, and it refers to the dominance of one group over others, often in terms of political, social, or economic power. It refers to the dominance of one group over others, often in terms of political, social, or economic power. Hegemony. Hegemony. And are you laughing, Nola, because everybody says subordination, subordination? Yes. So yes, 0 for 2. That's okay. Y'all can come back. Live to live to learn another day. And I mean, where are you at talking in your day-to-day activities? And it you're saying, yeah, so the hegemony that's taking place in the world is that that's not what's happening, but you are going to elevate your lexicon by doing this and then have the conversation with others. And you drop that hegemony on them and they'll be like, whoa, you won. What the heck is that? Oh my God. Oh yeah, it's just the dominance of one group over another group, politics, socioeconomic status. You throw that in there, like, oh my God, you'll be a genius. Okay. Next, we have our PEMDAS. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up, a yes, a brain, a mm-hmm. So you can get your PEMDAS going on today. It's a simpler problem than it was yesterday because we have one less number. Oh, I think the air is getting to me. I'm feeling a little lightheaded or I'm hungry. Shortness of breath. And it wasn't until the sun. I'm going to see. Can we see the mountains? No, it's a little foggy outside today. All these cars. All right. William Horton is ready too. Okay. So we got PEMDAS today. You don't have to show your work, but you do have to put your answer in. And here is the mathematics problème pour today. It is 9 minus, open parenthesis, 4 plus 2, close parenthesis, times 2. Again, 9 minus, open parenthesis, 4 plus 2, close parenthesis, times 2. Go ahead and work your problem. Nola has submitted her answer. Again, if you are struggling with the PEMDAS, Khan Academy has an app, KAHN Academy, and it starts with elementary math, works its way up all the way to calculus. So you could go to the YouTube channel or you could use the app. Nola has done the YouTube channel. I've done the app. It works great. She had to use it for 2 years when she started in her business because she needed to be able to measure and convert standard to metric and all of that. And so she had 2 years on Khan Academy. Went from, I think, K to 5th grade or 4th grade, somewhere around there. Oh, you used the app. I apologize. She used the app too. All right. So, William, you said you were good to go. Do you have your answer before I reveal the answer? Okay. So the answer is You got -3 with a question mark. Okay. The answer is -3. So what happens is when you're doing PEMDAS is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction in order as they appear. And so the first part of this is that you had to do the 4 plus 2, which is 6. Next, you had to do the multiplication. So yes, Lady J, -3. So now you're doing 6 times 2 is 12. And then you go order of operation as it appears. And so 9 minus 12 is -3. Now, what the hell does PEMDAS have to do with finish what you start neuropability? Your working memory is what you use all day long, and you are using it dozens, if not hundreds of times a day. It is located in the executive function of your brain, which is located in the prefrontal cortex. And so what doing PEMDAS does for you is it allows you to prioritize problem solving, number one. And because you are doing PEMDAS, you are going to follow a specific order to follow a problem. It also supports you if you have a to-do list and now priorities of work and you don't know which one to do first. By doing PEMDAS, you are now strengthening those neural pathways to look for the parentheses in the problem, then to look for the exponents in the problem, then to look for the multiplication in the problem, then to look for the division, the addition, and the subtraction. And you do that with problem solving, complex problems as well as simple problems. You do that with priorities of work. So you're training your brain. What do I do first? Okay, got it. I see that, Lola. So what do I do first? Then what do I do second? Then what do I do third? And so the working memory on average can hold between 4 to 7 situations at the same time. That's why telephone numbers used to be 7 digits. Now they're 10 because of the area codes and cell phones. But it's in order for you to have the ability to hold information together in your brain at the same time and prioritize what it is that you need to do. So if you can do PEMDAS, then you can solve problems. You can do priorities of work and you can do your to-do list and organize your to-do list. So that is the connection of PEMDAS to your day-to-day life. So yes, you actually do need math in order for you to operate in your day-to-day life. Now, do you need the Pythagorean theorem? I don't think so. However, these simple math problems will help you in your day-to-day. You are strengthening that working memory because you need it to work all day long. If you are over the age of 35, that joker has already started atrophying. If you are over the age of 65, you got problems. You're like, all right, you got CRS, can't remember shit. So the working memory, which is connected to the hippocampus, will allow you to recall those long-term memories and skill sets and behaviors, bring it to the forefront so that you can use it when you need to use it. All right, as we close today, what did you learn today and what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn today and what did you learn about yourself? So I learned that I can actually have multiple graphics. I can put them together. I think I'm about to sneeze. Give me 1 second. I learned about that there are 4 different ways to pronounce Zeigarnik, Zygarnik, Zagarnik, and Zagarnik effect and what that actually is. And there was one more thing that I learned. I can't remember what it was now. Oh, that I'm going to take motivation and switch it with discipline anytime I see that, because I was using empowerment, but I remembered about my videos for discipline. Kevin said, thank you, Mr. Horton. Kevin said, today learned about hegemony. And I love how words are not spelled phonetically. I think that's just like an amazing thing to do to people. Why not make it H-A? Go ahead and make it H-E. Just to confuse people. Because you could make that hegemony. Hegemony. Elias Rocket Scientist. Not quite sure why you believe that that's something that you should be typing in my comments. You can exit stage left or be escorted out. The choice is yours. We are talking about neuromobility in the brain, and we are at the end of this live, and we are talking about what you learned today and what you learned about yourself. So clearly you've just infiltrated and you're just here to create chaos. I don't even believe that you probably are even located in America, probably in another country, just typing stuff to get your pennies on the dollar, to create havoc in someone's very productive life. So hopefully you're gone, or I will use you as an example of what not to do. What country are you coming from, Elias, rocket scientist? Tell us something about rocket science while you're here, since that's your username and you have a nondescript picture, so you're scared to be who you are on the internet. Tell us why you chose that username, because somebody that is interested in rocket scientists should definitely have a higher level of interactions with people. You should actually feel like, wow, someone's talking about the brain. I'm interested in this. So something is not working. What you have is cognitive dissonance going on right now. So pick a side. Either you are a rocket scientist or you are an imbecile. Which one is it? I believe the latter. Prove me wrong. Nola, I learned most of the principles of real leadership require both sides of the brain to do. Yes, I agree with that. No, I learned about myself with these new concepts of the brain. The graphics are helping me understand better because I'm a visual learner. I think I would be better just listening if it was a concept. Already knew, but because it's all new, the pictures are helping. Yes, ma'am, I understand that. And again, that's the whole goal, is to present it in a way that everybody can get it. That's why I'm going to start back writing this information as my articles. So then for the people like myself who need to read it, because I get it because I read it and wrote it and saying it. So it's helping me. But when you can go to the blog and read it and see the graphics as well, it will cement it into your brain and create those new neural pathways. Plus, my mental illnesses have a problem with the auditory learning. Yes, ma'am. So see, again, 610 days ago, I was sitting on the other side of my desk with a regular t-shirt on talking about turnaround tactics. And because I finished what I start, we're now here understanding this amazing organ that we have, that is the brain. Did I chase away the rocket scientists? Did the rocket scientists go away? That was simple. I thought we were going to have more of a neurological battle. Okay, you are from Pakistan. Then why do you care about the American presidents? What's happening in your country? Maybe perhaps you should stay on chats and YouTube channels in your country if you'd like to talk politics, but that is not what's taking place here. So are you a rocket scientist or not? Are you a rocket scientist? Because I would like to know why you have chosen to be from Pakistan to come and talk about former US presidents on a YouTube channel that's talking about neuromobility. Make those connect. Make that connection, since you decided to be very rude and be disruptive to an environment that you have no idea what's taking place. You don't live in this country, and you are not an American citizen, and you are not here talking about the brain. Yeah. I'm a rocket scientist. Well, hey, if you did, what was your dissertation on? Let's enlighten us, because we're fascinated. We are fascinated. Tell us what your dissertation was on. Who did you study? What did you use? Where was your research? Did you do qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method for your research for your PhD? What research did you use? What were some of your questions? And what uni are you attending with your PhD? Where did you get it from? I'm curious about all of this. Inquiring minds want to know. What's your dissertation about? You see that, Lady J? I believe I'm making connections. Awesome. We're going to hear about the rocket scientist dissertation. And while we're waiting for yours, my dissertation was on high performance teams. And I used the Robert Northouse path goal theory, where it says that leadership is situationally dependent. And so what takes place is when you have high performance teams at Frito-Lay, because I actually did my dissertation on my corporate job. So there are behaviors that high performance team leaders demonstrate that low performance team members do not demonstrate. And so what I did was I interviewed in the Mid-America region at Frito-Lay, which had 19 distribution centers in it. I interviewed all the level 4 team leaders, team members, and the leadership team for the Mid-America region to, in fact, see if, because they were high performance teams, were they actually, in fact, using the Robert North House path goal theory? And my research was correct. And so not only did I finish and get my dissertation, but I also get my doctorate after my dissertation, but I also created a handbook for the Mid-America region that listed all of the behaviors for high performance teams. And at Frito-Lay, those are called level 4 teams. And so I used a Likert scale to measure all of the research questions. And then that summation was presented to the leadership team at the Mid-America region. And so I do have a copy of my dissertation downstairs. If anyone would like for me to have Nola go get it, I can read a couple pages to you of that information. So I'm waiting, rocket scientists, on what you did your dissertation on so I can understand who I'm actually talking to. Are you prepared to do that this morning? From Pakistan? No, you don't. Nola doesn't want me to read it to you because I got receipts. Or was that enough? Does everybody believe that that's what in 2008 when I finished it? Is that enough background information for you rocket scientists? So does anyone else have anything else for Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers this morning? I'm gonna go ahead and make that a highlight. Why not? Are you there? Check, check, mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Rocket scientists. No, you can type a ellipse, a brain. You can type a rocket to let me know that you're preparing to, let's have this intellectual dialogue. No, no bueno. Okay, so in summary, ladies and gentlemen, finishing what you start is very important to your cognitive development. As you can see, the benefits of it from a hemispheric perspective. You also have the 6 brain regions that are engaged. Some of them are using both sides, some are using separate. The other thing that you want to know is that the left hemisphere is the primary hemisphere with regards to finishing what you start. And you have all these benefits, these beautiful brain benefits to finishing it. So remember, the most important thing to do is to don't do anything without a strategy. And most importantly, don't do anything without a why. So when shit starts hitting the fan, you have infiltrators from Pakistan coming to attempt to throw you off your square and distract you, you can remember your why from your long-term memory, from your hippocampus. It sends a message to the working memory, and then you can present that information to the world as to why you are doing this on the daily basis, why you have been live for 610 consecutive days, why you have a brain shirt on, why you have the graphic that you created yourself with the help of ChatGPT to present this information. Now you understand why. And remember, my lives are not for children. It says not for children. So you have to be 18 and above to participate. So these, every time you see someone in their disinhibition effect, their thumb thugging and everything else that they're doing, these are grown folks. So they just help me prove my points even more, that there are 6.8 billion amygdala hijacked individuals walking around Earth looking for dopamine boosts, looking for fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And that's the issue. That's the issue. I invited this person to let's have an intellectual dialogue about our dissertations. I invited this person to talk about rocket science, and this person, who is not a U.S. citizen, is in another country, has decided that fodder would be a great thing to do on this live. where we're not talking about politics. We did use hegemony as a word, but that was it. Not talking about politics, not doing anything. And this imbecile has come and decided that they would like to, I don't know, banter back and forth, I guess. And so their biases didn't have them understand. They used the wrong somatic markers to attempt to engage with Dr. Donna. And that wasn't good for them. That decision did not bode well for them. So they took the L, and they could take that L back to the Loserville that's located in Pakistan. Don't start none, won't be none. Okay? All right. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, the brain is an amazing organ, and you could use it as a benefit, or you could not use it and look like an idiot. The choice is yours every day that you wake up. You have the ability to use your brain as it was designed, or you can let this little amygdala, and it's so funny now. You can let this little bitty tiny amygdala run your 3-pound brain, or you can just let the amygdala, and then you can let the prefrontal cortex, which is, the command center of your brain, run your brain and your body. You can have a different result day in, day out. You would love to hear about rocket science. Well, unfortunately, Lady J, I don't have a doctor. I have a doctorate in organizational leadership. And so I developed the theory of personal accountability and the 74 principles for leadership to teach adults how to hold themselves personally accountable on a daily basis. So unfortunately, our rocket scientist is not telling us what that dissertation was on. So you could ask ChatGPT about it, Grok, Google it, and it will give you some information. But that's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is leadership, and now how the brain impacts that. So the neuroscience around neuropability, which is this combining neuroscience, neuroplasticity, and neurogenesis for you to wire your brain to use the 74 principles of real leadership to create unlimited pathways for you to hold yourself personally accountable and access your best day in and day out. This is actually what will change humanity, and I will end up with a Nobel Prize as a result of being able to fix the dysfunctional 6.8 billion adults in the world. So stay tuned. That's my vision. Sitting there with my Nobel Prize for changing. Because you know what? You get to the top of the billionaires list, but the Nobel, that's an elite group. Everybody can't do that. So that is my why, if I can, God willing, higher power in the universe. Okay, so unfortunately, we did not get any rocket science information for today. That is unfortunate for the person from, what is it, Elias, rocket scientist. Okay, maybe it's futuristic. Maybe they don't have it yet. Okay, the receipts show that they didn't. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time that you devoted to. And remember, drink water. Your brain is 75% water, and it wants hydration. So throughout your day, even if you say, well, it's not hot outside, I don't need the hydration. Your brain does. If you're using your brain, you need to replenish your brain with not only food, but hydration. Water, 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 water. Agua, Wasser, if you are sprechen Sie Deutsch. Okay, thank you for your time today, ladies and gentlemen. It has been my pleasure and privilege to present to you this neurological information to empower you, for you to learn how to use, and I don't have my other brain t-shirt on, but your brain is an amazing organ. It is the most powerful organ that you have. It is the most powerful resource that you have. It is more powerful than money or anything else at all. I will be back, God willing, higher power in the universe. Same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirt. You all go off and have a brain-tastic day. Adios.